Fastamai, good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. And once again today, we are on the Conister Rock. And as ever, if you'd like to listen back to past programmes, you just go to manxradio.com and then the on-demand section, and there is the podcast section there. A whole host of well-known names from the Isle of Man on there. And we do welcome your suggestions as well. If there's someone you'd like to hear on this programme, just get in touch and let us know. womentoday@manxradio.com. And I think it's fair to say the Isle of Man always takes pride in its people, especially those who help raise our profile and put us on our map. And our guest today has done just that in a number of ways.
He certainly has. Conor Cummins is one of the fastest men on the mountain, born and bred in Ramsey, giving him that nickname Ramsey Rocket, of course. But he's much more than just a motorcycle racer. With his CoffeeMan business, a new venture, ConRod's coffee shop, and in the past few months, he's also become a dad. How's parenthood treating you, Conor?
It's an interesting experience. Yeah, little Connie came into our world 13 weeks ago. Slightly premature, but yeah, what a little character. You know, she's got so much fight in her. So yeah, parenthood. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's I've seen hours of the day I never thought I would do.
Has it already changed you as a person, would you say?
I probably look a little bit different, yeah, baggy eyes and whatnot. But no, it's just a fantastic experience. I can't really describe it any other way, you know. My wife Danielle, she's absolute star in the whole thing. You know, as I say, you're waking up all sorts of hours. It really does test you, but change me as a person doesn't really come into it, really, you know, to be honest.
So she's only just about 3 months now, but if little Connie comes up to you in a few years and says, "Dad, I want to get on a motorbike and go round there like you did," what would you say?
I'd say we're moving. Yeah, we're emigrating somewhere. Nah, I'll never stand in the way of what she wants to do. You know, my parents had the same take on it as what I've just said there. So I'm never going to stand in the way of anyone, particularly my own daughter. Yeah, I might have to draw a line at motorbikes, but I'll let her maybe go as far as a pony or something like that.
So when you were a nipper then,
yeah.
Little Conor, what were you like? Were you always sort of determined and competitive? Did you always want to get this far in racing?
Well, as a nipper, I've never been little. I'll be brutally honest with you on that one. I was born in TT week. My dad, he still races. He was racing when I was born. I was born into motorbike racing. You know, I didn't really think I'd end up doing the TT. I've always been a huge fan of the TT. You know, lived a stone's throw from the circuit. But I suppose as a kid I was always, oh yeah, I'd love to be, you know, Joey Dunlop or someone like that. But never really thought it would be, you know, come to fruition that I'd actually end up doing it and doing it to a high level, really. But yeah, here we are. I'm 32 years of age. I've done the TT for the last 12 years, I think. Yeah, what a life experience.
Was there a plan B? I mean, I know the coffee business aside, but was there anything else that you thought, oh, I could see myself doing that if the racing hadn't worked out?
I would say when I was about 15, 16, all I wanted to do was race bikes and make a living off it. But as you progress it up through the ranks, I suppose, and you experience different things, you begin to appreciate how difficult it is to actually, you know, go full time in bike racing. And but I was still always determined to be a professional bike racer from a young age, and I never really had a plan B, I suppose. But when I got older, you know, you soon realise things. You get a better grasp on money, because that does make the world go around. And you just sort of reassess things as you grow up. That's all I've done. I've had a few trials and tribulations. The downsides, I've maybe realised that I need to have something extra, a plan B, really. And it turns out my plan B is not doing so bad.
Why coffee, though?
Coffee. Well, I had a pretty hefty smash back in 2010.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone knew that.
I don't think many people have seen it. You know, I was going through rehab, and it was quite intense, really. I was having all sorts of operations, couldn't move me left hand. Me left arm was still in bits. I couldn't walk. My back was, I had two metal rods put in it, a load of screws. I was in a pretty bad spot, and my family, my friends got me through it. Now, my friend Peter Simpson and his son Marcus, they took me in to their house. It was just because all my rehab was taking place in Douglas, and I know it's only a few miles over the mountain, but that travel every day was really taking it out of me back then. So I was staying with my good friends Peter and Marcus and all his family. So between my family and his family, we all we come to a plan, and you know, I was going to the hyperbaric chamber every day. I was seeing Kath Davis for the physio. But one morning, young Marcus was bringing me tablets, because I was on quite a lot of tablets at the time, and a coffee appeared, and I had it, and for whatever reason, I just felt great, and it just gave me this almighty lift, and I thought, well, I'll just keep at this because it made me feel good, and I progressed and just kept drinking it and drinking. Tried different coffees. You know, you go into Douglas and you go to a Costa or whatever and have a coffee, and that's really where my passion for coffee started. And it's just gone from there, really. Instant coffee, yeah. That's where it started.
And you're still okay with an instant. I mean, I would have thought you'd have been a bit of a coffee snob by now, but it seems not.
I am a coffee snob, definitely a coffee snob. And obviously, as I've progressed with my CoffeeMan business, you know, you gain this almighty knowledge of all things coffee, and it's amazing. But you know, if it makes me feel good, I'll have it.
Are you as quick at making a cup of coffee as you are going around the TT course?
I'm going to say no, because I'm a perfectionist. I like to make my coffee. It take me time.
Okay. The aim of this programme is to find out more about people through their music taste. I'm going to say you've broken the rules a little bit here, Conor, because we do ask for 5 tracks. You've thrown in a few extra, which we're going to try and squeeze in. The first one is a Johnny Cash number. Why have you chosen this?
Well, Johnny Cash, I think legend is a word that's overused, but this guy is just he is a legend. Like, you know, his music is phenomenal. I don't think he was afraid of chucking the odd statement out there, and I just think his music is brilliant. It gets me going. If I'm driving in a van doing a delivery one day or whatever for my business, chuck a Johnny Cash tune on there, and yeah, what an absolute great.
Hey, get a rhythm.
A song that gets Conor Cummins going when he's out and about in his van. Can you ever go around the TT course and just think, oh, I'm just having a little pootle? Or are you always thinking in racing terms?
I hope there's no police listening today.
I mean, I don't mean obviously breaking the law, but just in terms of, like, can you ever just go around and not have sort of a racing thing in the back of your head?
No, I've always got the racing going. It's always in my brain, you know. I commute over the mountain every day, and obviously I'm a law-abiding citizen, so I don't go too mental. But you know, I can't help but think, well, where will I be on the bike at this corner, and you know, going up through Guthrie's, what's my line like through there? Can I improve? Can I nip a tenth of a second here and there? Come TT week. Yeah, it's never too far away from.
I mean, you mentioned that slight little incident you had in 2010. How are you going past that stretch?
Yeah, I don't really think about it, is my honest answer. The most difficult time was the first lap I did after the year after. After that, it's just another, you know, couple of corners, 4 corners.
What did you think when you watched Close to the Edge, then, when you saw that footage? And just because, I mean, you flip and flip and flip, don't you? What was it like watching it? Did you realise that it was like that at the time? I presume not.
No, I mean, I was completely out for the count. My body shut down. The next thing I knew, I was an Aussie. Went for all that treatment, and then obviously the footage came out. With my permission, I've got a add, although it has been overused of late. And it was like an out-of-body experience watching it. It was surreal. I've never I've never felt like that, to be honest. I sat down and watched it with a good friend of mine, Chris Palmer, an ex-racer as well, and very accomplished racer at that. And we just helped nail it down and what happened. But yeah, what a crazy experience that was.
I think that about sums it up.
Yeah.
Let's take your second piece of music now. Bentley's going to sort you out. Why have you chosen this?
I stumbled across this song because it was the great thing about Shazam. If I'm out and about and I like a song and I don't know the name, I key it in and it comes up and it stays on my Spotify account after that. I just like the sound. It's quite bizarre, weird, soothing, I suppose. I just quite like the way everything comes together.
The Isle of Man.
And we're on the Conister Rock with Conor Cummins this afternoon. We really could have renamed Conister Rock something. Conister Rods. Yeah? What do you reckon? Yeah. Tony has been in touch to say, Conor and I used to work together as colleagues in a certain international clearing bank. Without mentioning any names, a dark horse springs to mind. A decade ago, this bank funded a motorbike racing team of 125cc Hondas. In the end, Conor raced for the bank in a team which included Ian Locker, so heavyweight racing, 2 TT wins and the rest. My only observation, says Tony, is that Conor, who was not small when sat on a Honda 125, never quite looked in balance. But Conor was always effective as a team rider. I will also say he's one of the most brave and determined individuals I have ever met, especially after the repercussions of bouncing over Stone Farm walls and all that. Also, Conor was fortunate to have support of friends and family, particularly Mum Carol, so best wishes from Tony. And that family support is key, I guess. You couldn't do the sort of things you do without knowing everyone's behind you.
No, my family, they're just phenomenal. Mum, dad, sister, my wife, and now my daughter. Just unbelievable. I owe everything to them, actually, to be fair. We wouldn't be here.
Can you remember the first time you ever sat on a motorbike?
Yes. It'd be... I was 4 years old, and at Christmas that year, crikey, what year would that be?
Don't think about it.
Yeah, it's too far back. A little 50cc Malaguti motocross bike. I was that skinny as a kid. I couldn't get a body armour to fit me, so we had to use the real padded out jumper. And that was my protection if I fell off. But we won't go too far into that one.
Let's take another piece of music now. This is an elbow track. Why have you chosen this one?
Guy Garvey's voice is just amazing. I just think the music is just, again, it's another chilled out tune for me. I often catch myself singing at the top of my voice in the van, the volume cranked right up.
Is that something we'd all want to hear?
Oh, no, you don't want to hear that. I won't wish that upon anyone.
Oh, I don't know. It sounds like a bit of a thing. Elbow, Forget Myself, the third piece of music chosen by Conor Cummins this afternoon. And actually, you were in a band. We're not going to mention what it was called for various reasons.
That's not.
But, you're a frustrated musician?
Can I even call myself a musician? Probably not.
What can you play?
I was playing bass guitar, and I've still got it, actually. I've been asked several times to get it out again and go and jam with my former bandmates. I've got a great passion for it. I'd love to get back playing again, but it's just the time thing. But when the time's right, I'll definitely do it.
So as someone who is clearly a music fan then, what does it mean to have that association with Carl Cox Motorsport? I mean, and how did that even come about?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, Carl and his family and his friends, Gav, I've just got to know them. When I was going out to Australia to do the Phillip Island Classic there a couple of times, I met them both there, and obviously they've started to do more in terms of supporting riders at the TT and road racing in general. They've brought lads from New Zealand over to race at the Isle of Man. Just built this friendship, and they're definitely friends with 4 sponsors, that's for sure. And obviously we'll lead on to that next one.
Yes, because it's a piece of music that you've chosen that sort of just encapsulates all this, the Blue Monday track. Yeah,
well, basically, off the back of becoming good friends with Carl and Gav from Carl Cox Motorsport, and their extended crew as well, because they've all become friends. We've all kept in touch. We've built this relationship, I ended up opening my first coffee shop in ConRod's, and I made a flippant comment once that I said to Gav, what's the chances, you know, if I open my first coffee shop, what happens if I get you guys down to play? And laughed, and they took it seriously. And TT week this year, we had, I reckon, the biggest gig in Ramsey that's ever been, in my opinion, with arguably the best DJ in the world.
Blue Monday, and some fond memories of earlier this year for you, Conor.
Yeah, that's a standout moment in my life, that Carl Cox played Blue Monday in my coffee shop, ConRod's coffee shop in Ramsey. It's that's etched into my brain, and I'm sure a lot of others as well.
Were the residents supportive?
Absolutely. The family across the road above the flower shop, they were hanging out the window and, you know, just really enjoying it. The whole everyone just enjoyed it. It was a fantastic moment in time for me. So,
and it's really interesting, this programming and the difficulty that you've had in narrowing down just a few pieces of music, because you say music really is important to you. Is it something that you've used during your racing time? Is that what you'd use to sort of try and zone out just before an important race?
Yeah, I mean, that list could have carried on and we'd have been here for 3 or 4 hours. There's songs that have definitely helped me tune into my racing, get me focused, and there's a whole list that we could go on for hours and hours, but it's definitely assisted in getting my head into gear.
So, as it obviously being a Manxman, do you think that gives you advantages to going around the TT course, or does it make it harder because you know it so well?
It definitely helped. The very, very first time I did TT in 2006, it's actually when it's funny, when Tony emailed him before about working for the bank. When I decided to do the TT, I would drive from my house in Ramsey over the mountain. And then get to work, do my work, finish the day by finishing a lap off after work. So I was doing a lap every day. It helped learn, because as daft as it sounds, being a local, I still didn't know parts of the course quite as well as I should have done. So, but I mean, you come here for sure, it definitely helped. But after that, you're grabbing tenths of seconds here and there from there on in, really. But definitely my newcomer year was where it had its advantages anyway.
And did you watch any of the on-board footage that there was around then? Because I know that's what a lot of racers do, just to get that racing line fixed in their head.
I did and I didn't really. I watched the odd one or two, but I just thought, you know, there's no substitute for actually driving around the track. And fortunately, I live here, so I was just, as I say, I planned my day to do a lap every day. So by the time TT came around, it was I was well versed. But the onboards are fantastic, and you know, obviously, I'd actually urge anyone to watch the onboards. If they're going to decide to do the TT.
What does it feel like when you watch it though? Do you literally just watch it with a racing head on, or do you watch it and actually feel what the likes of us would feel like, thinking, what on earth? Because I mean, how do you even explain how you're able to do what you do to someone who's not a racer?
It's, to be honest, it's all we've ever done. All I've ever done is race motorbikes, whether it's from motocross to a road bike. It's all I've ever done. Competitive racing is all I've ever done. So it's just ingrained into me. I've just done it for that long. It's just all comes natural. But on the flip side of that, I do understand how people can look at it and go, "What are these guys on?" You know, it's ridiculous, and it does look ridiculous, but we just know what we're doing without sounding too cocky.
And we've talked a little bit about the fact you're quite tall. Do you think that has been a disadvantage in some ways, because you know it must be difficult to sort of try and bunch yourself down into that racing line?
I would say on the smaller bikes, like the 600 Supersport machines that we race on, but particularly the last year or two since I've been riding with the Paget's racing team, and Clive and the boys and girls, because it's a team effort. They've really got me fitted onto the 600 bikes, the super sport bikes, a lot better. They've really gone to town on making me more comfortable. There's a lot of engineering that's been going on, but they've really progressed me on a 600 super sport bike for sure. The big bike, it helps me. I firmly believe that. More leverage. I can get the bike to my apexes. I can muscle it around and do what I want to do with the bike, really. So, pros and cons.
We know then just how important music is for you, and you use certain tracks to get you going. You've got a Pearl Jam number here. Is this the sort of thing you'd listen to before you race then?
It's a sort of tempo I'd like to listen to for sure. Pearl Jam are just, one of the best rock bands that are still going and still around, and I love listening to their music. Weirdly enough, when Connie was born there premature, it was we were commuting from the house to the hospital every day, and I just started listening to a lot of Pearl Jam, and this one song, Not For You, it really stood out to me, and I just love it. I think it's great.
The absolutely brilliant Pearl Jam. I'm right with you there, Conor Cummins. They are a superb band, and Eddie Vedder is just an absolute legend. And actually, you're friends with one of the guys in a new tribute, or not friends, related to one of the guys in a tribute band, Pearl Jam tribute band that started up over here.
Yeah, Kev Cleater. It was this very song. I stumbled into. I shouldn't say stumbled. Actually, I walked into the beer tent as a classic TT a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And they were playing that song, and it was one of those moments. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to get it on Shazam, because it's live and all the rest of it. And I stumbled across this tune, as I say, when my daughter was born. It was just amazing. So, yeah, what a great tribute band as well. Yeah, really.
They are excellent. Do you know, I have to ask, how on earth you juggle what you juggle? Because you've got the two businesses, CoffeeMan and ConRod's on the go. You've got a brand new family. You must be constantly thinking about the racing as well. How do you manage it?
Well, I mentioned before, I've got a really, really good family. Very, very supportive, excuse me. And they just back me 100%. I've got a great team of people around me in both sides of the businesses, both CoffeeMan and ConRod's. Everyone just works so hard for me, and I'm just a small part of it pretty much. They're fantastic. So without them, I'd be absolutely knackered.
Lots of people listening today. Hello to Eddie, who's listening in Texas. And we've also had a text from G, who wants to know if you have any plans to quit racing, especially the TT.
No. I've no intention of jacking it. I feel I've got a lot more to achieve in bike racing. And I love it. I just genuinely love racing my motorbikes. I don't see it as a job or a chore. It's just something I really enjoy doing. And look, that's what I started out in life doing. From my very first ride on a 50cc Malaguti, which is at Douglas Head. So it's all I've ever done. I love it, and I've got so much more to give.
And you do obviously race in other places as well, but I'm presuming that other road races and tracks as well, they must pale into insignificance when you compare them to the mountain.
Yeah, the mountain course is definitely by far the best circuit that you could ever imagine riding around. It just offers so much. It's such a technical track. It's gnarly. It's like nothing else. You can't compare it to anything else. And when I'm sat on the start line at the TT every year, when I click down the visor and I'm ready to rock and roll with no music. It's once I got that adrenaline going, there's no feeling like it. I love it.
Your next piece of music is a Tom Petty track. Why have you chosen this one?
Tom Petty. When I was a young kid and going racing motocross at local events, you know. My mum, she's still a huge fan as well of Tom Petty and my dad, and they always used to have various bits of music going on in the background. And there's an old bit of video footage of me and my sister racing motocross when we were kids. And one of the songs in the background was by Tom Petty, and it's always stuck with me. It's like a childhood memory, and it will always stick with me.
Another brilliant choice of music from our guest this afternoon, Conor Cummins, barista on a bike. It's fab to have him with us. That's Tom Petty, of course, You Wreck Me. And you said just before we played that Tom Petty tune, you were talking about how you and your sister used to do moto together. There's still hardly any women in the sort of racing world, really. And yet I find that fascinating because it is pretty much a genderless sport, isn't it, racing? Everyone's just seen as a racer. They're not seen as a boy racer or a girl racer. So any ideas why there aren't more women? Is it just because we don't want to do it, or are there sort of barriers to getting women in?
I personally don't believe there's any barriers. I think that road racing as a sport is something that you have to want to do. And, you know, no one can and no one should try and force you to do it. So you've got to want to do bike racing in general. And I think, if anything, if that, you know, that is what's maybe governing people, women, more women not getting involved. You know, I think it's great. You know, we've had there's Jenny Timmuth, there's Maria Costello. Locally, there's Carolyn Sells. There was Monica Flooding. There's lots, and there's been women in the past who've been really active in bike racing. I think it's great to see. I really do.
We're on the Conister Rock with Conor Cummins this afternoon. Lots of you getting in touch. If you've got any thoughts, comments or questions before the end of the show, 166 177 if you'd like to text, or you can email studio@manxradio.com. We'll be back just after this.
Throughout the Isle of Man.
And Conor Cummins is choosing his tracks for us this afternoon on the Conister Rock. Lots of people getting in touch. Is Conor going to race in the Southern 100 again, is a question?
I'd like to, yeah. Just when the time was right. You know, I've been out of it for 3 years, I think now. I love it. If I'm not racing, I'll go and watch it. I think it's a great event. If
you could go back to any era of TT racing, you know, obviously we hear so much about the greats of yesteryear. What era would you like to be in? Who would be your ideal racing companion? I'd
love to have met Joey. I never got the chance to meet him. I was, you know, as a kid, you know, and but he was the one I always looked out for, and it's quite a child. There's loads of childhood memories there for me from watching him. So I suppose Joey's era. You know, I'd love to have been on the track with him. It would have been brilliant. You're fairly well known. Can you walk down Strand Street without being stopped? Oh, it's a difficult one. I don't know. I get the odd "Hey boy" shouted at me and whatnot. Yeah, I get stopped occasionally, but I just keep my head down. I don't really get into all that sort of stuff, to be honest with you. Do you ever see people walking around, I don't know, with a T-shirt featuring your name on it? Yeah. The story I was saying about before was down in... I did this race meeting called the Kings of Wanneroo, it was called, at a track called Barbergala Raceway in Perth, which has a large Manx contingent down there. And I met up with them all. Anyway, did this race meeting. After the race, we went for a bit of a cruise round. Both myself, Ian Locker, and Guy Martin, we were just out for the day, and we sat waiting for this bus. And I couldn't believe my eyes. There was a guy walking up to the bus stop with one of my old T-shirts on. It had 2 Meter Man on it, because that was one of my old T-shirts. And I still, to this day, it still baffles me how one of my T-shirts has got down in Australia. It's amazing, but that's how well travelled the TT is, you know. Kurt is listening in Connecticut, USA, and that sort of links us to the next piece of music you've chosen. What is this and why? Yeah, it's a song called "Could You Be Loved" by Permagroove, and this is the band that I was out in Alabama with my friends and sponsors, Red Torpedo. We had a race meeting out there for classic bikes, big cafe racer festival as well. And did the Saturday race, and everyone was like, right, Saturday night we're going to Gipp's place. So I was thinking, well, where's this Gipp's place? Driving right out into the sticks, pitch black, and we come to this housing estate, and it was just so different to what I'm used to. I was a bit out of my comfort zone, and it's in this estate. Anyway, hear this music playing, like, all I could see was just this bungalow, made a wooden bungalow. Right, we're at Gipp's place. Right, where's this music coming from then? And you look down you go down this big driveway, down a hill, and it's basically at the end of this guy's garden. And it's a wooden shack that he's made. And all these, I'm going to say, world famous bands have played there. And there's photographs, plastered all over the wall of all these bands, artists who have come and played. Now, Gipp is, I would say he's now 97 years of age. And I was there 2 years ago. And he was still up on the dance floor, getting his groove on and doing whatnot and just dancing, and it was a phenomenal experience. And Permagroove was the band who were headlining, I suppose you can call it, the night we're there. But Gipp's place in Birmingham, Alabama, was amazing.
Permagroove, Could You Be Loved? An inspiration, that 97-year-old. Can you see yourself racing at that age? I mean, is that going to keep going?
I can maybe stretch it to about 80, but I'll be doing well at 97.
You've already achieved so much, whether it be the coffee shop, whether it be CoffeeMan itself. Obviously, you're racing. You've now got your new baby daughter as well. What are you most proud of so far in your life, Conor?
Other than, getting married and bringing little Connie into the world, it'd be my first ever TT podium, 2009, in the Supersport race. That was a standout moment in my life that I'll always treasure. I'd always, since I set out to do the TT, I wanted to get on the podium, I wanted to win it. And the fact that, Manxman, local race, to get my first one was huge. So that's I'm very, very proud of that.
There's so much we haven't had time to talk about. You love rhubarb crumble and custard,
Oh,
for
yes.
example. You're a bit of a fan of whiskey as well. But actually, you kind of think you're quite artistic too.
Artistic. Go on.
You put that down as one of your talents because, like, the designs for the CoffeeMan shop, so it's a bit of an outlet for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the ConRods. I mean, I don't profess to be any form of interior designer or anything like that, but that's basically what was in my head at the time. Is what you see in ConRods, and CoffeeMan and ConRods. What you see before you is what's been in my head. So yeah, whether that can be artistic, I don't
it's
know.
Fairly artistic. Can you ever go through an airport security scanner without beeping?
I've bleeped the odd time or two, yeah, for definite. And there's been a few red faces anyway.
All that metalwork.
Oh,
Yeah.
Conor, it's been brilliant talking to you this afternoon. So much more that we could have talked about. But we're going to finish with your final piece of music, which actually proves that you really are a bit of an old romantic, I reckon. Tell us about this one.
Well, yeah, this is the song that me and my wife came into when we got married into the reception area. Is another standout moment for me. It was Baker Street by Gerry Jafferty. I think it's a fantastic tune. And another one that helps chill me out if I'm driving down the road and helps me relax.
Well, Conor, thank you so much for joining us on a Conister Rock and telling us about your music choices this afternoon. If you've missed any part of this programme, you can go and listen back for the next 7 days at manxradio.com. It will also be available to download very shortly as a podcast as well. But we are going to finish today's with Conor's final piece of music, Baker Street by Gerry Jafferty, and we will be back at the same time on Monday.